The ABC's coverage of the riots and looting in Alice Springs, sparked by the arrest of alleged child murderer Jefferson Lewis, who, it turns out, had only been out of prison for about a week. On one hand, they're hesitant to cast a negative light on the local Aboriginal community. On the other, they can't ignore a glaringly violent, highly racialised riot. The mob, who were clearly Aboriginal people, thought it appropriate to hurl rocks and other projectiles at the local hospital and nearby businesses, while smashing and setting vehicles ablaze. This left police and hospital staff to scramble under a hail of improvised weapons while trying to defend the very facilities and equipment meant to keep the community safe, to varying degrees of success. A brief intermission for the critics. Some people accuse me of picking on the ABC. Personally, I call it taxpayer oversight. Just to be clear, the only reason I do this is because they are a taxpayer-funded national broadcaster. I don't fund Channel 7, so for the most part, I couldn't care less how they spin their stories. But the ABC is being paid for by our tax dollars, over 1 billion of them this year in fact. Of course I have a vested interest in how they spend my money that I never willingly gave them. But back to their latest report on the unrest. Alice Springs riot, another flashpoint for town trying to heal. Because in the ABC's universe, when a mob attacks a hospital, the conversation isn't about criminality or public safety, it's about healing. And what better way to heal than by attacking a modern government-funded healing centre? Naturally, the article opens with a warning. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander readers are advised that this article contains the image of an Indigenous person who has died. Apparently, the rest of us don't require such a courtesy. It seems race is only a factor when it's your race, so long as you aren't Caucasian. They made sure to mention that police used tear gas. It's a bit of a half-truth. The more accurate version would be police used tear gas in response to Aboriginal people using rocks. But I suppose focusing on the violence coming from police makes the narrative much more palatable for an inner-city audience. To be fair, they did include a photo of children hurling projectiles at the police. They noted children could be seen taking part in rioting behaviour during the unrest. Now, I'm no parenting expert, but if I were planning a night of rioting and looting, I'd probably suggest the kids stay home. But apparently, in Alice Springs, healing is a family activity. Sarcasm aside, I'm genuinely trying to be fair to the ABC here. They didn't hide the ugly details. They noted young children under 10 years old were among those rushing to the front of the crowd and throwing rocks towards emergency service workers. While they were the minority in the crowd, seeing such young children involved in a violent affray will likely be alarming to many. Alarming to whom? For the people who actually live and work in Alice Springs, this isn't an alarming anomaly. It's a Thursday. They also highlighted the looting, stating, CCTV footage allegedly shows people looting a service station. Allegedly? If the cameras show them stealing, what's alleged about it? Unless the ABC is suggesting the owners used AI to fake the footage for an insurance payout, this actually happened. But of course, they made sure to find a silver lining, noting a protester at the riot outside of Alice Springs Hospital could be seen hugging a police officer. Look, I'm glad the police are shown to be human, but I have to ask about the wording. A protester at the riot? Isn't it a rioter at a riot? Or is that just me? It's like calling someone a pedestrian on a Formula One track. The location kind of changes your job description. To their credit, they did interview a local leader, Michael Liddell, who didn't exactly stick to the healing script. He criticised the violence directed at emergency services, noting, through that incident, we had police cars being damaged and ambulances being damaged, and when you take those services out, well, we've got a scenario of no rules, no laws, and people become hurt. They did somewhat admit this is an ongoing problem, noting in an aside, Kids hooning around in stolen cars, driving head-on at police, filming the action. A youth crime wave has engulfed Alice Springs. But let's keep talking about healing. I'm sure a few more hugs will fix the head-on collisions. And finally, how is the government planning to solve all this? Money, of course. The article notes, in early 2023, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese flew into the town to announce that $250 million would be spent to improve outcomes for people in Central Australia. 3 years later, with ambulances being smashed and service stations looted, it's clear that money was well spent. Everything is A-OK. Oh wait.